Your success tomorrow starts the night before. If you're anything like me, who is kind of a night owl, and you want to make the most of every single day, then you need a bedtime routine. There are 10 things I would like to touch upon, and the first thing would be to eat 2 to 3 hours before bed. I try to eat balanced, healthy meals as much as I can before bedtime. So tonight I'm gonna do a spaghetti squash, kind of like a marinara bowl. I'm going to roast the squash in the oven. It's really neat. If you cut it in circles, then the individual strands, once you shred it with a fork, turn out like pasta. And just putting a little bit of marinara sauce on it with some ground up turkey for protein really helps to make this meal a little more balanced, really hearty and filling, which is just what your body needs before you go to bed. Secondly is to set a consistent bedtime and get a good amount of sleep. My ideal is to have around 7 to 8 hours right now. Having a set sleep time trains your brain's circadian rhythm to get tired at night and be more energized during the day. When I did try this in the past, I oftentimes would find myself getting up before, just like a minute before my alarm, which was the most wonderful feeling in the world, to be able to wake up naturally and also just have way more energy throughout the day. And again, your success tomorrow starts the night before. And being a night owl is okay. I definitely am, or at least I thought I was, especially in college and high school, because I did my best work at night. However, I noticed that my screen time late at night also impacted my sleep and how fast I would fall asleep. My third tip would be to dim the lights and turn off your devices. So using warm lighting before bed, having a little lamp, or even lighting a candle would create a really good atmosphere that tells your brain that it's time to wind down and to go to sleep. Exposure to blue light after normal sundown hours can lead to suppression of melatonin, which is your body's natural hormone that tells you, okay, it's time to go to sleep. It's usually produced at sundown, and if you use a lot of blue light or just really bright light in general, it interrupts that cue to your brain, which tells you to produce the melatonin. It can also lead to the reason why people don't get enough sleep. Researchers have linked it to diabetes, depression, and cardiovascular heart issues. So put your phone to bed and stop the scroll. God had to really convict me about this, because Reels definitely had me in a chokehold during the time when I just didn't feel like I needed to get out of bed early. So I would get into bed, open either YouTube or Instagram or one of those like social media sites, even Pinterest, and I would just scroll for hours. And before I knew it, it would be like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. As I was researching behind why these things were so addictive as they were and why I just lost track of time, I found that Reels and the short form type of content structurally change our brains. The kind of Reels that they're talking about are Reels where you don't learn anything. The kind that is attributed to brain rot content. A researcher, Qian Wang, faculty of psychology at Tianjin Normal University in China, and colleagues wrote, short-form video addiction has been linked to a host of adverse physical and psychological consequences, including sleep disturbance, visual impairments, cervical spine injuries, cognitive deficits related to reward processing, attention, learning, and memory, and emotional disturbances, including depression, anxiety, and stress. Not just like a couple neurons aren't firing the way they used to. No, it structurally changes the shape and the makeup of our brain over time. Now, there are some Reels that are a bit longer that are better for our mental health, but for the most part, any sort of blue light, social media, a couple hours before bedtime is not recommended. Putting my phone away is also something I want to implement in my life. 4 would be a 10-minute tidy before bed. A clean room equals a clear mind, and having your space look peaceful can also lead to a more relaxing and less stressful morning. The 5th thing that I will be implementing is stopping caffeine at 2 p.m. and trying to limit myself to 1 or 2 cups of coffee Instead of caffeine, what I want to switch to is herbal teas. So things like a golden latte or a bone broth hot chocolate. Things like chamomile and lavender tea. One of my favorite teas for nighttime is jujube, wolfberry, and ginger tea. In traditional Chinese medicine, jujubes are great for stress relief. Ginger is great for warming and nourishing. And jujubes also have a lot of vitamin C, antioxidants, and the wolfberries and everything else has calcium and is great for aiding digestion. This is such a comforting, warm, sweet way to end the night. I boil a pot of jujubes, split open, and I add some wolfberries, or some people call it goji berries, and I add a couple spoonfuls of fresh ginger. Whole ginger also works, dried ginger also works. And then in this one I added a tiny bit of cinnamon just to get a little bit of that fall vibes going. Another drink that's great for bedtime is boricha, which I'm sorry if I butchered the name, but it contains natural melatonin and tryptophan, which aids in digestion. And melatonin and tryptophan are two things that naturally help us fall asleep. Tryptophan is also found in small amounts in turkey, which is what leads us to that very full Thanksgiving nap time type of feeling. Another thing I wanted to make a habit of is not drinking alcohol before bed. Experts said that avoiding alcohol is good at least 3 hours before bed, and consuming alcohol before bed can lead to frequent wakings and overall low quality of sleep. And studies showed that even with a small amount of alcohol, it can impact your sleep. In less than 2 drinks for men and less than 1 drink for women, decrease sleep quality by 9.3%. So if you really want a good restful sleep and to feel energized and ready for the next day, maybe skip the alcohol the next time you're out with friends. I'm not saying alcohol is entirely good, and I'm not saying alcohol is entirely bad. For instance, Jesus did the miracle in Cana at the wedding when he turned water into wine. In the Bible, it does say that alcohol should not be consumed until you lose control, until you get drunk. I just want to read Ephesians 5:15 through 19, which says, "Look carefully then how you walk, not as unwise, but as wise, making the best use of the time, because the days are evil. Therefore do not be foolish, but understand what the will of the Lord is. And do not get drunk with wine, for that is debauchery, but be filled with the Spirit, and addressing one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing and making melody with the Lord in your heart." The 6th thing that I want to implement is planning for the next day the night before. There's a concept that I learned from Atomic Habits, which is to reduce resistance. So laying clothes out, writing a to-do in my planner the night before will help clear my mind and allow me to be aware of the things that are upcoming the next day. Now this is the part where I failed before, because I would plan my day out, but I would be completely unrealistic with how much I could get done in a day. I would have this long list of like 10 things to do in a day. I would not sort them by priority, and I would definitely not chunk them up into as many little segments as I thought could be completed within the next day. If you guys want a how I plan video, then let me know down in the comments below, and I'll definitely make that for you guys. In the past, I would always have a really busy mind right before I go to bed. I would just flop in bed and then trying to process the whole day, which would make me lose sleep. It would take me 30 to 40 minutes. In psychology, breaking a cycle of processing what happened during the day can be helped by writing down your to-dos the night before, so it clears up mental space. My 7th tip is to take a hot bath. This is my self-care time. It's a time where I get to relax and just melt under the nice warm waters. One of the things that really helps with a hot bath, if you do it 1 to 2 hours before bed, is it signals to your brain that it's time to sleep by facilitating rapid cooling when you step out of the bath and get into bed. If you have a bath, that's great, but showers also work. They usually recommend a 10 to 20 minute soak for a bath. I try to do a 10 to 15 minute hot shower. I just feel it's more convenient and I'm able to get the same effects. But if you are able to do a bath, one thing I would recommend doing is getting some Epsom salts. There's some really great ones. Just you can get a bag at Walgreens or like the pharmacy or any grocery store. They have great scents that you can use. I would use the lavender scent. It contains magnesium, which helps relax those muscles. And so after my hot bath, I usually do skincare. A lot of times I will do most of my skincare at night because I want my morning to be a little quicker. I do a very simple skincare routine, and the products I use really depend on what my skin feels like that day. I have a really simple routine, which consists of usually cleanser, toner, a serum, and moisturizer. So usually 3 to 4 steps, but it's taken me a while to actually listen to my skin and curate what products I use. But in doing my skincare, I also am reminded that beauty is not forever. Proverbs 31:30 says, "Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised." So there are things we can do to look more put together, but ultimately a woman's beauty should be found in her relationship with the Lord. And the 9th habit that I'm going to be implementing is closing out my night with prayer. I have been practicing this for a couple weeks now, and as I'm curling up in bed, I'll just do a little prayer, thanking God for what He's accomplished during the day, reminding myself and praising Him for who He is. And oftentimes I'll do even a little bit of a worship song if I feel up to it. And if I'm really up to it, I'll also look in my Bible for a couple of verses or read a chapter. And I would encourage you guys, if you aren't able to get your Bible time done during the day in your morning routine, then try doing it at night. One of the songs that have really helped me fall asleep quicker is Mandisa's rendition of Cradle Me, which is Patsy's lullaby. It is so sweet and just very calming. Or just some worship music. I've been really into Holy Forever. It's a great anthem to just relax and fall asleep to, as well as Worthy. Also, Take My Life and Let It Be. I've been listening to the one by Paul Zach and Liz Weiss. It's a great hymn. And also, All I Have Is Christ by the Worship Initiative, and Shane and Shane is a great one too. And sometimes I'll even listen to a Christian podcast. One of the ones that I've been listening to is Christ with Coffee on Ice by Ali Yost. She has some great messages and a lot of really timely words. So yeah, if you're curious and want to check out her podcast, I'll link it down below. One of the verses that I would like to share is Psalm 127:2, which is, "It is in vain that you rise up early and go late to rest, eating the bread of anxious toil, for He gives to His beloved sleep." In my ESV commentary, it says, "All effort is vain without the Lord." These verses share their theme with the wisdom of Proverbs, which promotes diligence, but clarifies that diligence is neither greed nor is restless anxiety. Giving 1 day a week to the Lord is a gift to enable God's people to live by faith, requiring them not to work all the time as they trust Him for their future well-being. Psalm 63:1-8 says, "O God, you are my God. I earnestly seek you. My soul thirsts for you. My flesh faints for you, and in a dry and weary land where there is no water. So I have looked upon you in the sanctuary, beholding your power and glory. Because your steadfast love is better than life, my lips will praise you. So I will bless you as long as I live. In your name I will lift up my hands. My soul will be satisfied with fat and rich food, and my mouth will praise you with joyful lips when I remember you upon my bed, and meditate on you in the watches of the night. For you have been my help, and in the shadow of your wings I will sing for joy. My soul clings to you, and your right hand upholds me." David wrote this psalm when he was fleeing for his life from King Saul or King Absalom. It encourages us to praise God in our times of trouble. If you have trouble falling asleep, I would recommend reading the Psalms. It contains a lot of spiritual songs, warnings, but also reassurance that God is there and He loves you. The place where it mentions in Psalm 63, where it says, "In the watches of the night," David meditates on God's faithfulness and love in his life, which is one of the things that I have been doing for the past couple weeks. It has really revolutionized how I fall asleep and also what my mind is thinking on the minute I wake up. And the 10th thing that I would like to implement is to remind myself that consistent progress is better than perfection. In the past, this is one of the reasons why I failed. So hopefully going forward, this will help to remind myself, like, even if I get 1% better each day, that is great. And you guys don't need to implement all of these things at the same time, but I am going to be implementing a lot of these over the next couple weeks as I try to get my life together with Christ. Having my mind set on God the minute I fall asleep and throughout my nighttime routine will help me focus my mind on Him the next day as well. The last thing I want is to be distracted and tired the next day. So just as a review, I'm gonna eat 2 to 3 hours before bed. We'll want to set a consistent bedtime to get a good amount of sleep and stick to it. Thirdly, we'll dim the lights and use either warm lighting or use blue blocking glasses 2 to 3 hours before bed. Fourth, we'll do a 10-minute tidy every night. Fifth, I will limit my caffeine to 2 p.m. and switch to herbal teas and not have any alcohol before bed. Sixth is I will plan for the next day and reduce resistance by laying my clothes out as much as I can and writing my to-dos in my planner the night before. Seventh, I will be taking a hot bath. Eighth, I will be doing my skincare consistently. Ninth, I will close out my night with prayer and worship. And 10th, I will keep in mind that consistent progress is better than perfection. Hey guys, if you found this video helpful and want to follow along for more of getting my life together with Christ, go ahead and hit that notification button, subscribe, and follow along for more. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. God bless, and I'll see you next time. Bye. If you found this video helpful and want to follow, so just serve and share this with a friend. Gosh, okay.